Today we are going to look at something that many of you may have seen before, but never knew the ancient history and mystery of. I'd like to introduce you to something that is said to be very potent and mystical, an item that can be found right at your feet if you're only willing to look. This is the history and the folklore of the Hag Stone. Welcome back to Into the Veil. I'm Rachel, and it's great to have you here with me. Let's begin our journey today. While most of us are well aware of the valuable properties of gemstones, both precious and semi-precious, to include assistance in spiritual growth, clarity, healing, protection, and more, today we are going to talk about stones that are now less spoken of, but have their own place in history as offering many of the same attributes and more. They've been called by many names over the centuries, to include the Great Mother Stones, Odin Stones, Adder Stones, Snake Eggs, Hex Stones, Fairy Stones, Holy Stones, Hag Stones, Eye Stones, and more. So needless to say, these were popular and well familiar to most cultures. They can be found in wet and dry riverbeds, creek beds, or along seashores. It's the action of the running or moving water causing the erosion that results in the unique appearance of the stones, some being very glassy. The reason that they are so sought after and are valuable is because it's said that magic cannot work on moving water, thus the stones retain water's beneficial influence. And so basically the hagstone has a naturally occurring hole going through it that has been put there by water that has drilled its way through. And knowing that water is such an incredibly powerful, natural conductor of energy, one can only imagine what the prolonged exposure to this intense power can mean for this stone. These were historically popularized in medieval times, but even before this by Christians and pagans alike, as they were considered natural and not against God, much like our gemstones today. This changed in the 17th century with the Puritans, and due to potential persecution or accusation that could even lead to death, much became less spoken of about these stones as well as other things. But originally, in a time when magic was still active and considered real, a time when it was commonly used for good and ill alike, these stones were considered to be a blessing to their owners if found. There are many different beliefs and legends to go along with what exactly the hagstone does. And these are based on cultural and even country differences that lend to the lore. But prior to the 17th century, this is what we can find is believed to represent the stone's properties, its benefits, and why they would be so sought after. So first of all, they're said to be a tool to open to other worlds, other realms, to unlock fairy secrets, but to also access spiritual worlds. An ancient legend says that gazing through the hole of the stone, that this will connect you with the land of the Fae, whether fairies, goblins, mythical creatures, and all things magical. It's also said that gazing through the hole on a full moon will allow you to see spirits of the other world all around you. This is because gazing through the hole is thought to utilize the energy of the stone to help focus the psychic eye within us, much like glasses or a lens would do to focus our vision. Pretty much a paranormal investigator's dream, right? But if you're going through a spiritual awakening or trying to tune in further with your own abilities, you may find that wearing or meditating with the stone can be of great use to you. In that, these were also called fairy stones, not only in their ability to help one see these realms, these beings, but that also traditionally, if you close one eye and peer through the hole of the fairy stone with the other, it's believed that they can be used to ultimately bind a fairy to their service for a specific length of time. You know, the name Dobby stones might recall a picture of a little creature with big ears, one dressed in an old pillowcase that is not so strange to us. The term Dobby, sometimes also called Dobbs, is a word used in some areas in England and Scotland for a tiny house spirit. It might be an elf-like or gnome-like creature that we all wish to have sometimes, the one who finishes your unfinished jobs at night, providing that you have welcomed them kindly. If not, he can be quite troublesome. But in other areas, he's likely to be a much less friendly creature that can cause mayhem. It can be a shapeshifter that can take on different shapes, including those of a large black dog, a goose, a horse, finding great pleasure in scaring people, after which he suddenly disappears. Seeing a Dobby can also announce a birth or a death. J.K. Rowling inspired her house elf, Dobby, in the Harry Potter books on this creature. A hagstone is said to keep these tiny spirits at a distance and protects your home and the wearer of the stone from the trouble these little ones can cause. If this Dobby stone or fairy stone was found in the forest, it's said that it can help you connect with tree spirits. One suspended on a red cord is especially useful at Samhain, when the veil between this world and the fairy world thins, otherwise known as Halloween to us. Hagstones were also used as pledge stones, giving the bearer the ability to know if another spoke the truth. Some believe that they were extremely powerful to those that were trying to conceive. Some of these stones found were as tall as most people, and if a couple walked through holding hands, it would assist them in their desire to have a child. Probably one of the most common portents and uses for these stones were for protection and good luck on boats, ships. They were and still are currently used as protection charms on boats against being witched, cursed, or haunted by negative spirits. It was believed that without the protection of this stone, bad luck, accidents, or the inability to catch fish would occur. Sailors are known to be exceptionally superstitious, but have also given some of the best accounts of supernatural activities in their travels. In southwest England it was, and for some still is, customary to nail a hagstone to a fishing boat just below the gunwale. This was to protect the boat and the crew against all kinds of trouble at sea. Sometimes a hagstone was attached to the rope with which the boat was held on the quay. This would prevent witches from coming on board or cursing the boat. A cursed fishing boat could no longer catch fish, even though the waters around the boat held more than enough fish. In that case, it was important to check whether the hagstone was still attached to the boat. They were also believed to protect from storms that were thought to be conjured and produced at sea through witchcraft. Fishermen and sailors would often find them on beaches during their travels. A few stories speak of them being able to control the winds on high seas, or more formally, that they could control the weather. Even more fascinating, as they were considered to be protection against nightmares and unwanted visitors. Because of their powerful healing and protective abilities, it is thought that hanging a hagstone over your bed or headboard at night could help protect you from nightmares and bad dreams. This belief was born from the thought to protect against night hags, incubus, succubus, what we also experience today as shadow people and demons, that are all believed to prey on us in our sleep, thus bringing about nightmares and sleep paralysis. It was a common belief that the night hag came to visit at night. An ugly old hag, or sometimes a frighteningly beautiful woman, who could give you nightmares or would paralyze you in your sleep. Another name for this creature is a nightmare. That's where our word nightmare comes from. The phenomena of sleep paralysis is nowadays described in medical literature, but people used to believe that this was caused by evil, often female, and a supernatural being. A hagstone under your pillow, on the bedpost, or around your neck protected you against her. It was also wise to hang a hagstone on the cradle of a baby. And this falls in line with the next part, actually, which is for the protection of pets, livestock, and children. The stones were once hung in stables over their horses, livestock, or pets as a charm to protect the animals from being taken by witches or hags. They were also placed at the entrance of a home or in a child's room to ward off the night hags that would supposedly rob innocent homes of their children in the middle of the night. But it has also been described as a remedy in the 16th century book about horse remedies, because farmers were afraid that the nightmare would ride in and take their horses at night, tiring them out so they could not work during the day. The book describes how a hagstone around the horse's neck or on a pole in the stable ensured that the horses were safe. Besides that, a holy prayer had to be written down on a piece of paper, which had to be attached to the stone, and then they would traditionally call upon St. George. In Sussex, it was good custom to hang a hagstone with the keys from the stable doors to protect the cattle inside against fairies. Likewise, used for protection in the home from curses, spirits, and spells, hagstones were frequently found inside the walls and surrounding areas in old homes and buildings during renovations. This is because many individuals back in ancient times swore by the stone and would hang them on doors, place them inside the walls, and even wear them around their necks in hopes of warding negative spirits or hexes, unwanted energy from their space and their homes. Many thought to hang them in the entrance of their home, as this would ensure that anything negatively speaking that would try to pass through the doorways would be absorbed into the stone and not let into the house. Now, obviously, these were different days, but apparently there was good cause to believe, and that many of these things that people faced could be averted, that they distinctly felt that it was all about energy more than something random or chance. A number of old hagstone amulets can be seen at the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic in Boscastle, Cornwall. A hagstone attached to a key, your house key, or another old key protects your house. A number of hagstones tied together, and some would say best to be in an odd number of 3, 5, or 7 stones, or even that these can be an even number of stones with an odd number of knots on the cord at the entrance to your home. Assumedly, no witch or fairy can cause harm to your home or family anymore. A hagstone in your pocket or on a cord around your neck is to protect you from the nasty tricks from magical creatures or curses, from even witches. And if you look through the hagstone hole, you may be able to see some of those for what they are. I love history. Another aspect to this is the Scottish name for hagstones. Druid stone indicates that the stone was very important to Druids. The Scottish name refers to a piece of flint, reasonably glassy, a glassy stone. And Druids used these stones for protection as well as healing works. They regarded them as extremely magical objects. The Roman writer and naturalist Pliny the Elder described how the Gauls had a kind of a stone, or egg, to which they assigned great magical powers. He described this egg as a bundle of snakes glued together with saliva, of which the Druids said that this is thrown into the air, and it had to be caught on a cloth before it could hit the ground. The man who catches it must flee on a horse, for he would be chased by more snakes until he crosses the water. The egg, when encased in gold, can float on water and travel upstream. He also describes how Druids wear the stone as a badge. There is some discussion about what this egg exactly is, since Pliny did not describe it any further. There are 3 theories. One is that it's a hagstone. Secondly, that it's a fossil sea urchin. And thirdly, a rather new theory, is that it's a bunch of whelk egg cases, which sometimes wash up on the beach. Whatever it is, the so-called Druid egg is a magical thing with many special properties. It would also help redirect the outcome of justice in such a way that the verdict was always in favor of the bearer of the stone. This belief was so strong that Romans prohibited the wearing of any such stone in the courtroom, and when a suspect was seen with such a stone in a court, that was regarded as a capital crime. Many illnesses in ancient times were thought to be from evil magic or witchcraft. While this may or may not have been true, the hagstone was thought to cure away all illnesses influenced by these actions. I'd say overall, they're considered to be pretty amazing. I personally can't get enough of the hagstone energy and have them hanging about the house. If you're skeptical of this gem, I urge you to go searching for one. Look around your own beds of water, natural water. Or you can purchase one in a local spiritual store or even online and give it a try. I enjoy finding them. I often used to scour creek beds and other waterways for any kind of little treasures and geodes and things like that. But it was really fun when I started finding these. I was well surprised at how it seemed like they had been waiting for me to find them. And I would love to hear, if some of you have found them, what your experience has been with these. A hagstone is a rare and extremely magical stone tumbled by the tides and the winds of time, with a natural hole in it. So whether you know it as the Great Mother Stone, the Odin Stone, a fairy stone, a wishing stone, an adder stone, or any other name in a list that's so very long, just know that it's considered a key to a doorway into other realms, into higher learning or awareness, into the energy of protection and healing. And much like today's dream catchers that are so frequently used to help prevent nightmares, it may help you against night paralysis, sleep paralysis, and against some difficult times in nightmares, dreaming, or just a general sense of being ill at ease. These are being used now in collaboration with crystal healing, healing diseases, and maintaining general health, but also invigorating anyone that may be lacking energy. The hagstones are also said to improve eyesight in broad daylight if looking at through the stone while sun gazing. I would caution against doing this for very long at a time, but perhaps at sunrise and sunset when the sun isn't as bright. But let me know if you have any questions or comments or any experience with these. I thank you again for being here. I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.